are here on the 2015 memorial video, and some shit's about to go down. I just wanted to review it and just cover the whole thing together, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. Let's watch together. Get your popcorn ready. Somebody's about to set it off. Yeah, that's right. Take those cups of wine. Oh no. Oh no, I recognize that man. Oh, this isn't going to be good.
No, how about this? How about we make a toast to the generation of 1914 that will not pass away? May they rest in peace. This is for them. Yes.
He taps him on the shoulder.
Overlapping generations. Amen. I'll tell you what. Right back to you. For the overlapping generations. Let's forget about those. That 1914 generation. God is gay.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Right. Right. Sure. Jehovah is your God.
Get out of here, Jehovah Cow. Everyone hates you. You're the most unpopular thing that's ever been on this show.
Oh, by the way, I'm anointed, so if you want my autograph, follow me out.
I'm born again. I can't do that. So I know what he said was wrong, but I'm born again. I can't do that.
Oh, it's Kyle.
Reject the Christ. Sorry. He said if you don't eat of my blood, drink of my blood.
Oh, damn.
I agree. The slave is your master. The publishers are in New York. The slaves are here. You're the slaves.
Oh.
You're all the slaves. The publishers are in New York.
Oh, damn.
They're the publishers, not you.
Oh.
You're the slaves.
Oh, this guy's getting up.
1 Timothy chapter 15.
Craig Perry Mason Stevens.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Craig Perry Mason Stevens. Propaganda techniques on YouTube. Find me. I'll set you free.
And 15.
I will set you free.
And notice what it says here.
Have a good night.
It says, I am writing.
Did you see the look on his face? Shit. I just wish they hadn't done that, though. That was really out of line. Shut up, Jehovah Cow. Go make a freaking omelet. I would if you buy me ingredients. And here we have Jesus Christ. And he says, This just proved to them the apostates are just anger. Prove to them. That's an interesting phraseology. Well, it just proved to them that the apostates are just anger. Not good. And I said to Jesus that I told him I talked to Tony, Charles, and Propaganda right before the memorial, and none of them were angry. So why are you saying this lie? I think it's very interesting. We're here in the building of Jehovah's Witnesses, the truth. It's the truth. I know all four of the men who participated in this stunt are good friends of mine. I talked to them, and I know for a fact, and I am testifying for you right now, that none of them were the least bit angry. I talked to them. They were giddy. I would describe them as happy-go-lucky. They were in a very jovial, carefree, and very happy mood. So why would you perpetuate this lie? Oh, because it fits into your predetermined narrative. Oh no, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses narrative. I'm sorry that you're just proving to them that apostates are angry, but they didn't. That's the strange thing to me, because they didn't say anything angry. Well, what we have here is what they call the double bind logical fallacy that JW apologists typically use. If you're an ex-JW, the choices you make, any directions you turn, they have you a stereotype prepared for you. Basically speaking, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Any path you go down, you, the ex-JW, are going to fall into any one of about half a dozen stereotypings, which I'll list a few of you for you guys. Excuse me. If you're somebody that doesn't have faith in the Jehovah's Witness doctrines anymore, and you confide this to your friends and family, well, you get classified as a murmurer. You're stirring up contentions and causing divisions. By the way, if you think I'm exaggerating or you don't believe me, you're welcome to click on the channel JW Struggle. There's a few videos on there I think you'll find very interesting. People that are being persecuted. Oh, the JW persecution. Well, in this instance, you're talking about JWs persecuting people for what they think in their minds and what they have confided privately in private conversations. You know, the same private conversations that JWs don't want to talk to child abuse investigators about. Well, these same types of private conversations lead to these judicial committees where people are being put on trial for things that they have confided privately to their friends and family. Well, in that instance, you're going to get called a murmurer. Well, what if you decide you're going to take your complaints about the organization to the elders? Well, you're called a rebel, like the sons of Korah, who didn't respect authority. Well, what if you just say, I'm going to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm just going to live a normal life. I'm just going to go live, do whatever I feel like doing, and they can disfellowship me if they want. I don't care. Well, they call you immoral. After you're gone, they say, well, he was a sexual sinner who couldn't control his appetite of the flesh, gave in to his ravenous desires, and never looked back. What if you don't go that course? What if you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses and you go join a mainstream church of Christendom? Well, then they read the scripture about how a dog returns to its vomit. You see, after you leave, they're going to... they have any number of these classifications that you're going to fall into. And so you're binded any which way you go. Shall I go on? Look, there's hundreds or thousands of people, either voluntarily or involuntarily, that are going to leave Jehovah's Witnesses. We all know it. And the Jehovah's Witnesses know it too. It's just, look, any organization, you're going to have people that leave by the shitload. Well, what's the most common course of action there is? The most popular, most common, and most widely accepted is what I call the path of least resistance. And it goes like this. You keep quiet, keep to yourself, keep a low profile, and when you see a person from the Kingdom Hall walking by, drop your eyes to the floor to demonstrate your humbleness and shame. It's called the path of least resistance. And most importantly, here's what you do. You show up at the memorial once a year, you sit there quietly, you don't say a word. This is very important because JWs can point at you then, and after the meeting they can say, see, even though they aren't fulfilling their obligation to Jehovah, they're still acknowledging that it's the truth. And this is the preferred curriculum of ex-JW and JW alike, because although you are on different sides of the figurative electrical fence, you can still maintain a measure of civility and amicability with your JW relatives through this course. Reversely, anyone who doesn't do this will incur the wrath of JW and ex-JW alike. Why? Because you're not doing what you should be doing. You're not doing what you're supposed to. And that's when the stereotyping begins to take shape. You see, you can be somebody with very strong and critical views of the Watchtower Society, but you keep it to yourself. And once a year, the elders will call on you. And when, 15 minutes later, they walk out of your house, they say, what a bitter person. Sitting alone in that house, stewing in their negativity towards Jehovah's organization. Sure, they complain about Jehovah's organization, but what answers do they have? Just sitting there alone in their bitterness. Or, instead, you can be somebody who blogs about your ex-JW life and being a disfellowship Jehovah's Witness. You can go on YouTube and make videos about it. Well, then they say, how hateful and vengeful, beating their former fellow slaves. Or you could even be somebody that just watches videos and writes comments. You could be somebody that goes on Facebook and expresses your views. Well, then you're someone that just can't move on. Well, that's awfully brave of you to come on here anonymously with a screen name and take pot shots at Jehovah's people. And you say, okay, well then I'm going to go to the Kingdom Hall in person and express my views in front of the Jehovah's Witnesses, in front of everyone there. Well then you're aggressive. You're an aggressive, insane idiot consumed with anger. You can't win, you see? You're in a no-win scenario. Once you're disfellowshipped or leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, anything you try will get you downtrodden and disrespected by JW and ex-JW alike. And worldly people. The only thing everyone in the world wants from you is to shut up. Please, for God's fucking sake, just shut up and go away. Move on. That is the only... Look, that's the only thing people want. For some unbelievable reason, the entire world wants you to move on. Commenters like Jesus... Here, hi Jesus. I just wanted to say to you, I feel sorry for you. Really. I really do. I pity you. Because you probably have never known what it's like to not care who's watching you or what they will think. Which is the freedom that Tony and these other guys that pulled this shit. I know these guys. I'll tell you something amazing about them. They don't give a fuck what's up some JW's ass. They really don't. Talk to them. Maybe they could convey the sense to you, or you could begin to glean some understanding of what it's like to wake up in the morning and say, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. I don't need affirmation from a Jehovah's Witness. I don't need to look over my shoulder and worry about what a Jehovah's Witness is doing or saying about me. They don't like it, they can suck shit. They can go suck shit through a straw out of their own diaper. I don't give a fuck. Disapproval from brainwashed JWs is meaningless to me. There is no validation that can come from people stupider than me, and therefore I shall not seek it. It's a wonderful freedom I hope you get to experience one day. Maybe you'll begin to start thinking and acting like a human being instead of a Jesus Christ.
Augustine Astacio says, You just reaffirmed their confirmation bias, that they are persecuted, and gave them stronger justification, that they are what you call the truth. Juvenile. Stupid. Didn't help any of them. Only made those there stronger. Well, that's quite an assertion. Is this based on any proof of any kind, or are you just making this? Oh, you're just making this up, right? Yeah. Just wanted to, just want to make sure for you. You are just making that up out of thin air? Uh-huh. Well, I'm just curious, though. Who are the they? Who are the they that are getting persecuted and them that... Oh, well, who's the they and them? Are you not like Watchtower at this point, making blanket statements about the theys and thems, instead of accounting and allowing for individual variation? No. This is clearly a confirmation bias that you are persecuting them and reinforcing.
Let me just do a quick double check for you here. I just want to make sure we're watching the same video. This is, the one that got 45 thumbs up, right? As opposed to 14 thumbs down. Do these 45 people count in your equation? Well, no, not them. I didn't mean them, I mean other thems. I don't know if it's dawning on any of you in the audience or if it will dawn on Augustine at any point. The three guys who participated in this protest, the three guys who stood up and the guy who were recording, they were audience members. So you got 4 people right there. They were sitting in the audience. In fact, they spent years sitting in the audience at the memorial. Year after year after year after year. So I'm wondering, does their opinion count? And if not, then tell me why. What about me? Augustine, do I factor into your calculations? Why not?
Here's Bill Jones. And he says, I see it as an adolescent prank. Someone in their 20s might think it was cool. But realistically, those people...
Wait, aren't people... Well, if people in their 20s think it's cool, how many of the people in the audience are in their 20s? I don't see why you're not accounting for them. You're acknowledging that some people are going to think this is cool.
They don't matter. Someone in their 20s might think it was cool. But realistically, those people who did that could have gotten themselves arrested and charged with disturbing the peace.
Oh, heavens.
For disrupting a church service. If the elders in that Kingdom Hall did call the police, and they were arrested, then who would have looked like the morons?
The elders got themselves arrested? Well then, I'm joking. No, this was great. I told Bill, you need to face it. Jehovah got upstaged on his big night, and there's nothing he could do about it. Wow. Everyone relax. To me, this is one of the greatest events in Jehovah's Witness history. Apparently, a lot of people didn't like it. To me, it was of great significance, and I'll tell you why. This isn't supposed to be happening, Bill Jones. Excuse me. This isn't even supposed to be humanly possible. You see, all the time I was growing up, it was explained to me that bad things are going to happen to you. You're going to get made fun of. You're going to get picked on at school. You're going to lose your job. You're going to get sick, be in the hospital. And Jehovah isn't going to save you. Because you're out there in the world. And Jehovah, he doesn't rescue people in that way. Exactly. But the Kingdom Hall is Jehovah's temple. That's his domain, and he regulates in there. He kicks ass. You see, his Holy Spirit is active and operating upon the Kingdom Hall, the congregation, and all its many goings-on. And they would tell stories from the stage. During the meetings, during the Watchtower studies, they would tell stories from Africa of people riding alligators for 15 miles to get to the meeting, and other miraculous experiences that are paranormal beyond what is usually going to happen in this world, but excuse me, it's all the Kingdom Hall setting. They would tell stories of entire villages being wiped out in a giant brush fire, and the only building left standing was the Kingdom Hall. Untouched. Unscathed. Well, now flash forward to present day, and you got Tony Prime and his band of hooligans. This isn't even the first time he's done this. This is the second memorial in a row that he walked in off the street and fucked everything up. He fucked up Jehovah's big night. Jehovah's grand ball. This is his coming out party. And he gets upstaged by a guy named Tony, who walked in off the street. Well, how did he not see this coming? Or act to prevent it? He can't even act in his own behalf now? How did he not see this coming the second year in a row? It's like he's in a coma. And Tony Prime is there slapping him in the face. Drawing a dick on his face with a magic marker, and he's not doing anything. That's the whole point! You jackass! That's the entire point! Jehovah, it's like you're pissing in Jehovah's face and he's not doing a fucking thing. Did I miss something? For years and decades, myself and millions of others believed a superstition that Jehovah would regulate in his house. Nobody ever tested him. Why would you? Why would you test a man who can strike you down with lightning? This is no small event. Tony just dunked on LeBron in his house. Do you get it? Well, maybe it's not dawning on you, but I'm guessing that sooner or later, someone sitting in one of these congregations that is getting violated by Tony Prime is going to say, wait, it's dawning on me now. It doesn't matter if we're out there in the world or we're sitting here in the Kingdom Hall itself. Jehovah never, ever, ever does a fucking thing ever. It's almost as if he's made up or non-existent. So, it's like a myth getting busted. You watch TV, Bill? You like the show Mythbusters? I love it. This is like a real life Mythbusters happening in real time. You mad, bro? Why? This is Jehovah's house. He can kick ass if he wants. Oh, he's not going to? Huh. Funny how that works. I love Mythbusters. This is great TV. You know another show I like? Intervention on A&E. It's a great show. I love watching it. Let me tell you about it. You have some aggressive activists, a whole room of them, and they're going to intervene on delusional people that are initially resistant to them. Nevertheless, these aggressive activists decide that they are going to intervene nonetheless and give the person a reality check. Oh, but I'm sure if they called the police, they'd get arrested for doing that. Because, as you know, giving somebody a reality check is against the law. You can't do it. Making omelets isn't against the law. All you need is some simple ingredients from the store. You buy them from me, I'd make omelets for both of us. Get out of here, Joe! Here's Jorge Lopez.
You could disagree with JWs all you want, but this was totally disrespectful.
Totally disrespectful.
And your dumbasses just strengthen their faith instead of hindering them.
Why do you presuppose that they wanted to hinder them? Disrespectful. You can disagree with JWs all you want, he says, as if there is a suggestion box at the Kingdom Hall. Oh, I've been in many Kingdom Halls. I've never seen the suggestion box. I did not know there was a Watchtower approved method for voicing objections. What article is that in, by the way? I'd love somebody to post that friggin' article for me. I'd love to read it. Did you not see the video immediately preceding this one in which Propaganda Techniques is talking to the black lady and he's telling her that many organizations the size of Watchtower have a policy of protecting whistleblowers that is instituted by the government. And the lady says, whistleblowers? Oh, we call those people apostates. Did you not see that, or did you just watch it and it didn't mean anything to you? Because you watch this video and you got plenty to say. By the way, I've already been through this entire exercise. I already have called. It's been recorded. I called Kingdom Halls and asked, is it okay to agree with you like 99% of the time, but there could be like 1% of things we don't agree on? Are we still cool? Amazingly, the answer I got was no. Not even remotely. I remember being a Jehovah's Witness. I don't know who you're talking to. You're not talking to me because I know better. I remember, do as you're told, or we destroy your reputation and destroy your family. Are we talking about those Jehovah's Witnesses, or are we talking about a different Jehovah's Witnesses now? I called the Kingdom Hall. This is recorded, documented, and I asked an official Jehovah's Witness representative, is it okay to agree with the big picture, like Jehovah, the Bible, and everything, but not give my allegiance to the governing body. Is that okay? Are we cool? No, not even remotely. Furthermore, I asked the same elder if I could come to the Kingdom Hall, come visit the Kingdom Hall, whilst holding apostate views in my mind. I asked if I could attend a public meeting and not make any other expression than "I love you." And this elder told me no. I asked, okay, well, can you just tell the congregation that an apostate called on the phone and just tell the congregation that I said, "I love you"? And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So Jorge here is acting like there is an acceptable way to be an apostate Jehovah's Witness and exist. It's okay to disagree with JWs all you want. Jorge, who are you talking to? You talking to people that don't know any better? Because you're not talking to me, bud. This guy's trying to fleece you. I'll tell you the truth. There is no respectful or acceptable way to object to the teachings of JW.org, in case you didn't know. And these commenters are pretending like there is. That's funny. In case you didn't know, I'll tell you the truth. There is no polite or pre-approved way to say something to a JW that they don't want to hear or they're not going to like. It doesn't matter how softly you whisper. Did you not see this CS the Apostate video where he mails a letter? He writes a letter respectfully to his mother and mails it to her. She mails it back to him in a Ziploc bag after it's been put through the shredder unread. Did you not see that video? You can't even phrase it in a question anymore. You can't ask questions to JWs. They won't answer. Somebody told me that they went to one of these JW.org booths that they got set up. It was set up in a mall. They walked up to a Jehovah's Witnesses, started asking them questions. And they said, we don't answer questions. What you do is you go to the website here, jw.org, you type in whatever you're thinking about, and then an article will pop up on that. They wouldn't even entertain questions at their own booth. You cannot say anything to a JW. You can't say anything to a Jehovah's Witness other than repeating their own propaganda back to them. They won't tolerate it. In case you didn't know, or in case this has never happened to you, or you're not clear on this. If you are a worldly person, you are a satanic idiot, ignorant of the truth. If you're an ex-JW, you're a satanic liar trying to trick them. The JW Mafia system is hamstrung. They've got everyone on earth in a chokehold. There is no exception. There's no wiggle room. There's no going through the cracks. There's no long way around. There's no secret passageway that Jorge is going to tell you that other people just don't know about. These are the same people giving talks about apostate Bible studies. Apostate Bible studies. You know, Bible studies. The people that ask questions and you find the answer for them. Asking JWs a question now is an attack. It's interpreted as attack. They're told in advance that it's going to be an attack. That's how far down the yellow brick road we are. Saying something that's true and verifiable to a JW is an attack. Saying something true about JWs is an attack. These are the Bible answer people going door to door, seeking out naive ones and saying, forget everything you know. Because we're the Bible answer people. Here to change everything and save the world for you. We're here to save your family. We're the Bible answer people. We have the answers. We can answer every question in the world. By the way, raising questions is an act of disrespect and disloyalty and will not be tolerated. That's what they do, right? They tell people at doors, we have the answers you're searching for. We can save your family. And a year later, they say, don't start asking questions, buddy, because we'll take your family. Disrespectful. Well, let me ask you, Jorge, what is the opposite of disrespect? You know what the answer is. Jorge is telling you to respect a system of lies, an arrangement of lies and people lying to you. And he's telling you to respect it. The bait and switch technique. Emotional blackmail and threats. Bully tactics. You know what I call people like you, Jorge? Accomplices. You are an accomplice to the Watchtower Society and its propaganda. You are complicit. Ex-JW, non-JW, the I'm not a JWs that shake your finger at disfellowship people and tell them to show respect. You are nothing short of an accomplice to the Watchtower Society. You are complicit in its lies about ex-members and its continued violation of human rights. Oh, you can disagree. You can disagree with Jehovah's Witnesses all you want. In your mind. Just don't let it come out of your mouth. Not in public. Not where people can hear you. By the way, you the viewer, in case you didn't know, that's exactly word for word what an elder would tell a doubting or disillusioned person in the back room. Sure, think what you want in your head. But keep it to yourself, okay? You just need to obey and respect. Do not step out of line, brother. Now I got Jorge telling me to respect something I don't respect. Well, how would that be living the truth, which I thought was all important to these people? How would I be a truthful person? I thought that's Jehovah's big thing, right? The truth. How would I be truthful by demonstrating respect when I know something to be evil and not worthy of respect? I'm supposed to respect lies? Fuck. What on earth are you people talking about? Are you talking about the respect that Jehovah's Witnesses show to Babylon the Great? Are you talking about that respect? How respectful they are to Christendom in their public talks? Are you talking about the respect they have for homosexuals and their tight pants? Are you talking about the respect they have for a woman's ability to select her own Spanx and spandex and jogging pants? Are you talking about the respect of people who do not wish to appear or be summoned to a judicial committee? Are you talking about the way the elders just respect the people's privacy and respect the privacy of their sex lives? Are you talking about that respect or a different respect that I don't understand or know about? Are you talking about a parent's right? Are you talking about respecting a parent choice to give a blood transfusion to their child? And not kicking down the hospital door and storming in to put a stop? Are you talking about that respect or some different level of respect? Are you talking about respecting a baby's right to live long enough to make that decision for themselves? Watchtower Society and its accomplices think respect should be a one-way street. Excuse me. When have you ever heard of Jehovah's Witnesses respecting somebody that doesn't think like them? Have you ever even been to an assembly and listened to the talks? Can you cite me one instance or one example of Jehovah's Witnesses respecting the lifestyle of an outsider, respecting opinions of people who are not Jehovah's Witnesses? Can you give me one instance of them pointing to another person who is interested in the Bible and respecting them and telling their followers to respect them? Oh no, but we're told to respect Prince. You see Prince doing things that only the most debased worldly person would do, and we're told to respect them. Terrence Howard beating people up, doing things that would get normal people put in jail, and we're told to respect him and respect his many freedoms and liberties, and it's none of your business, and you don't worry about that. Are you talking about that respect that we're supposed to have for rich Jehovah's Witness or famous Jehovah's Witnesses? Let me show you a picture of this guy. Man, that is a fucking profile. You know, I've been friends with Tony for a long time, talked to him many times, and I've never seen this. I mean, he looks like JFK. This is unbelievable. I mean, the resemblance to Kennedy, it's like prophetic, man. Shit. It's as if Christ were transfigured and shone as brightly as the sun. Fuck, this isn't prophetic to you people? I'm gonna rewind this. This is good shit. I'm into this. Play this. God, you people should be in awe of this man. You should be dropping down in front of this man and asking him to teach you what he knows about Jehovah's Witnesses. Fuck. I've spoken to this man on the phone on numerous occasions. You jackasses should be messaging him, writing comments on his channel, watching his videos. Maybe you'd learn something. This fellow here, Tony, Propaganda Techniques, Kyle, Charles Russell. I'm friends with all of these guys, and I talk to all of these guys. They have 50 plus years Jehovah's Witness experience between the four of them. How is it on earth that you people are telling me they don't know? You're calling them idiots and telling them they don't know what they're doing? How the hell would they not know what they're doing? They've been doing this for a long time. The best part of their lives, most of their lives, all of their lives. How are you telling... Who the fuck are you? Who the hell do you think you are? That you're going to tell this man he doesn't know what he's doing. He's been doing this his whole life. This is his whole family and everyone behind him. These are all the people he knows. How are you gonna convince me or anyone else that this man doesn't know what he's doing or that you know better? That's rich. You know, I've had a lot of just phone calls, conversation with Tony. We've talked for hours. He told me one story one time where he was very young. I forget, he was like 10. And he made like $20 because he spent all day working in someone's yard and he earned $20. He put the money in the contribution box because he had been indoctrinated, sitting in the Kingdom Hall, been indoctrinated. Oh, Armageddon very close, we all have to give everything. He put the money in the contribution box. And then after the meeting, he told his parents that he did it. And his dad said to him, "You aren't supposed to brag about things like that, you're just supposed to do it." My question is, Tony's, over the years, Tony donated a lot of money to the Watchtower Society, I'm presuming, just like everyone else did. Was always put money in the contribution box. When they decided that Tony should be kicked out of Jehovah's Witnesses, did they give that money back to him? No? Because he's not good enough to be in the building anymore, but he was good enough to keep the money, The money's clean. He's dirty, right? Do they give any disfellowship people their money back and say, "Look, we need to part ways. Here's your money back"? No, they keep those dirty satanic riches. We'll keep your satanic riches. When these guys stopped being JWs, did they throw a party for them and say, "Thank you for all your years of volunteer service. You worked so hard for us for years. You know, you're leaving now, but we want to give you a good send-off. We'll let you know how much you meant to us. The Bible says Jehovah's not so unrighteous as to forget your works, and so neither are we. So we're going to celebrate your tenure here. We're going to celebrate. You're going out into the world now, but we're going to celebrate the good times we had together. So that's the right thing to do." Did they give a farewell party to Tony and the other guys, or did they besmirch them and drag their name through the mud? When Tony and all these other guys were going to be cast off and sent out into the world alone, did they give them some money? Say, here, take some money for food. You're going to need it. You're going to be all alone out there in the world, and it's hard. Or did they tell their relatives in print, through the magazines and also through talks, did they tell their relatives, do everything you can to make them feel discomfort and displeasure? Use your leverage to make them regret their decision to leave. We're not talking about using scriptures to compel them, and in fact, their families would have been punished for discussing scripture with them. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about JW.org instructing families of former members to use aspects of their daily lives that have nothing to do with the religion, aspects of their daily lives, and weaponizing them. Weaponizing guilt, family connection, used to apply pressure and duress upon former members, making them suffer, making them feel vulnerable and miserable, making them question their lives, whether they continue, making their lives unlivable, breaking their willpower. How is this not like Scientology, by the way? Type your answer below. I'd love to read it. Respect. This man is not a wayward child that needs to learn respect. This is a grown adult. We're talking about adult people being treated as if they are runaway slaves. Slaves of the Watchtower Corporation. And I come here on YouTube and read comments of how you want this man to behave like an adult, but you didn't treat him like an adult. When was this man treated like an adult? Shit, he's 40. Is it time to treat him like an adult yet? What about propaganda techniques? He has gray hair. And you're talking about these people like they're children. And you're going to teach them respect. The best way to teach somebody something is to show it to them. And you didn't show them any respect. And Watchtower didn't show them any respect. Watchtower chose to disrespect these men. They called them mentally diseased. And now you're irritated that they're living up to that label? Well, which way are you going to have it? You're mad that they're acting like they're mentally diseased now. Shit. You're pissed off because what Tony and these other guys are supposed to be doing is living quietly and calmly with that label. Just go scurry off somewhere and live with that label quietly. You know, I had a viewer the other day on my channel that said, I don't think you realize it, but you keep calling non-JWs worldly people. You probably aren't even aware you do that, but it's kind of negative. It almost has a feeling of contempt. I don't know if you're doing, I know you're doing that. And I responded and said, oh yes, I fully realize that. And I do it on purpose. You see, it's a slur. I'm using a slur about you. I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. And I'm gonna go venture out on a limb and say that Tony Prime and Propaganda Techniques and all their crew, they aren't here to normalize things for you or make you feel comfort either. They're not interested in normalizing your world for you or providing a sense of reassurance. Did this little scene upset you? God damn it, it's supposed to!
Mentally diseased is a slur, in case you didn't figure it out. Worldly people, disfellowship people, these are slurs. Oh no, you don't need to take offense. You see, a Jehovah's Witness will explain to you that, well, a worldly people, it's just what we call you. And you can say, oh, but I'm very clean. I live by the same Bible you do. Well, that decision has been taken out of your hands. You don't have that capability to decide how you are going to be. It's removed from you. You don't have power over that situation. Someone else did it for you. I've been reading comments all day, sitting here all morning reading comments from people that are outraged, indignant, that a house of worship has been defiled by Tony Prime and his wicked crew. Why would you be using slurs in a house of worship? Why would God need to be using slurs? Are you offended? I've read comments, and I just want to pose this question to you. Are you offended that this house of worship has been violated so? You just need to respect that this is a house of worship, please. You need to control your anger. I know you're angry at the Jehovah's Witnesses, but just realize that this is a house of worship. Let me ask you, how do you feel about auditing done by Scientology? Is this worship to you? You know, at the Scientology Center where they audit people, go into their minds. Is this clean and pure worship? The same way you fancy and wax on about with the good old Jehovah's Witnesses? I'm going to break something to you. An auditing session at a Scientology center is essentially no different than a judicial session at a Kingdom Hall. Same method, same design, same technique. Is this still a pure and beautiful thing that you need to cradle and protect? What if... let's do a hypothetical. What if someone in your family said to you, think of one of your dear relatives, one of your children, and they tell you that they are going to join Scientology. They met a Scientologist on the street, they're going to join, and they're going to go to an auditing session, get hooked up to an e-meter and take an electronic reading, find out how many thetans are living in their nervous system. Would you say to your child, well, I respect your decision to join a self-help program. Cashing in your trust fund and giving it to Scientology, probably not a good idea, but I just respect these self-improvement programs. I just have that deep respect, and so I choose to respect it and stay out of it. Or what about your grandmother, your 85-year-old grandmother? What if you found out that she was getting taken in by a charlatan? Some faith healer comes along with a potion that's going to let her live forever. And she's about to give her household. Give the deed to her house. Give all her money in the world to him. And you say, oh, hell no. And you go down to his circus tent that he has set up, and you're going to march in there and get your grandma out of there. Well, the faith healer, he rushes the door and says, please, show some respect. And you say, no, I won't show respect. I've looked up your criminal history, buddy, and I know that this is a scam. I'm going to get my grandma out of there. And he says, hey, hang on a minute. You need to think of your grandma's beliefs. This is what she believes in. And you think for a minute and then you say, well, this particular belief is wrong. And she's about to lose her house and all of her money. So yeah, I'll take the risk of disrespecting her beliefs on this occasion. Now get out of my fucking way. In case you forgot or you don't clearly understand,
I'm going to remind you of something. People at the Kingdom Hall are being scammed out of their futures. Out of their children's futures. They're being scammed out of their resources, their savings. And beyond all else, they're being scammed out of their lives. Their lives and time on this earth are being stolen from them. And you, the viewer, are content to sit back and watch it happen. Week after week, year after year. They're sitting in that little building and their precious lives are getting stolen away by a dirty, conniving lie. And it doesn't bother you for some reason. The same way that this bothers you. The number one thing you will hear people say when they find out the truth about the truth, the number one thing you will hear people say in videos is, I wish I had found out sooner while I still had time left in my life. Oh, the lost years. The time that was lost. What video have you ever clicked on and somebody said, God damn it, I wish I didn't find out that. Oh shit, well now I know it. Fudge. This isn't a disagreement over points of view or religion or philosophy. This is about one thing. Dirty, lying scumbags cheating people out of life. Cheating people out of their life on this earth. So that they can make a profit for their company and live in their little apartment building up there. You're somebody that has this great reverence for religion. I'd like to remind you the Bible says that there is a time and a season for all things. Is it really beyond your comprehension that there is an appropriate time to stand up during a fucking meeting and say something? You really can't grasp that. By contrast, your phony, fake-ass sentimental attitude towards this Watchtower religion, to me, in my opinion, is not only ill-timed, it's misguided. It's stupid, it's selfish, and it is a betrayal towards the people you supposedly give a frig about, which I know you don't. You betray them. Here's Blue Hawk.
Have you ever heard of the backfire effect?
Oh shit, the backfire effect. Not that.
It has been proven through research that your techniques here will actually further solidify the JWs and their beliefs.
Oh, I'll be sure to tell Malcolm X and Martin Luther King that when they get resurrected. And, I'm supposed to click on this link. Well, Blue Hawk, I'm not going to click on that link. I'm not going to do it. I'm not interested in what it has to say. I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. It's not Jehovah. It's not living in Paradise Earth forever. Why would a person like me, who knows how to live forever in paradise, be interested in what some friggin' worldly person has to say? Worldly people, the ones that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They don't even know Armageddon's coming to get them. You know what I remember about worldly people? I remember standing on thousands of times, standing on their porches and them saying, I'm not interested. I'm sorry. I'm not interested. Now get the fuck off my property. Worldly people had all those years of me going to their houses, and all I ever remember about them is slamming the fucking door after saying not interested. So you see, now the shoe's on the other foot. Whatever the fuck this is, I'm not interested. Have a good day. Slam. Feels good. I can see why worldly people like doing it. Feels good. Say you're not interested and fuck off. Whatever this link is, I'm assuming it has something to do with ordinary people in a conventional circumstance. Let me ask you in the audience, do you believe that Jehovah's Witnesses are ordinary people in a conventional circumstance, and that a non-JW can give you a commonplace explanation that will put your mind at ease and solve everything? This is not rhetorical. Please type your answer below. I'd like to know what you think. Do you believe that Jehovah, quote unquote, is the sum of its parts? How easily do you believe that a non-Jehovah's Witness could decode Jehovism, decipher it, and explain it back to you? Follow-up question. Quick follow-up. How long ago was it that you personally believed that a group of people in New York that you've never met could decipher the Bible piece by piece and explain its true hidden prophecies back to you? How long ago did you believe that? Like 2 years ago? By the way, I've talked to some of these random, helpful non-JW people that come along with free advice. It sounds like you're angry because you had a bad childhood and so you're bitter? And you want to blame your parents' religion? Well, who the fuck is supposed to be blamed? Oh, it was my idea to ring doorbells, knock on doors when I was 6. Oh, when I was 6 years old, I just want to spend all Saturday doing that. Just something I wanted to do. My parents will even verify that for you. And the Watchtower will confirm it for you too. Mystery solved. You did it! You solved the mystery and fixed Jehovah's Witness problem. You know what I should do? I should internalize the blame, look at myself, and move on. It's time for me to move on. Whew. Well, that's done. You in the audience, too. It's your turn. It's time for you to start rejecting false stories and moving on to something else. Move on to something else, please. Anything else but Jehovah's Witnesses. Take up any other field of interest, just not Jehovah's Witnesses. Not that, because it pisses people off. Not because of anything about them. It's because of how bitter and insane you are. God damn. This is a hard life to lead. Being an XJW, fuck. You could not drink of this cup, by the way. You're talking about angry apostates out of control? Fuck. You have no idea the self-control I demonstrate on a daily fucking basis. Being an XJW is one of the hardest lives you would ever have to lead. Compounded and complicated by how anytime you're an XJW, you go public and try to say what you think or feel, you immediately have half a dozen mysterious people pop up out of nowhere and say, why are you lying about Jehovah's people? Why are you spreading false stories? Including, quote-unquote, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that pop up out of nowhere saying, you're obviously so bitter and insane, filled with anger at Jehovah. Just move on like I did. Why can't you move on like I did? I moved so far I'm not even here right now. Let me ask you another question. Excuse me, just gonna take a quick drink here. A question for you in the audience. This exploding aggressive anger that certain ex-JWs have, which usually manifests itself by them standing up or saying funny things, but it's very angry, or holding a sign, is just, it's a very violent, angry, combustible thing. Anyway, we have been assured by good authority that this seemingly harmless behavior is in fact very combustible, explosive anger that is something very real and very harmful and dangerous to the innocent JWs that are standing in harm's way. Well, I had a question. Where did this boiling magma chamber of explosive anger come from? Did it pop into existence the moment they read that disfellowshipping announcement about you and you went insane? Is that what you're telling me? It's like Frankenstein. They threw a switch and you went from being one of Jehovah's happiest and most peaceful people on earth to being an insane idiot filled with rage. Well, that was fast. Here's what I'm wondering. When boom goes the dynamite, doesn't that mean that the dynamite was there when you lit it? Or how does this work? You know where the dynamite was all that time. You know where it came from. Of course you do. It was already pre-existent. By assuring all of us that XJWs are hostile, insane, dangerous people ready to explode, you have in fact confirmed for everyone that Jehovah's Witnesses are also insane, angry, combustible people ready to explode once you light their fuse. And that's all it takes. So really, this Kingdom Hall, full of delicate flowers that you're worried about getting trampled on, is in fact a room full of insane idiots filled with explosive anger, correct? I'm also wondering, how is it that some XJWs are unstable, out-of-control maniacs that need to be stopped, while other types of XJWs are serene and reasonable, and you can trust them? You can donate money to them. How does that work? Could you explain that real quick? Because we all came off the same assembly line. They even call it an assembly, and you sit in a line. Calm down. Can someone explain to me how this all got rationalized out? Because I wasn't there for that meeting. Can you explain to me how either you get to be an angry apostate, or you go into the category of a JW survivor, a scholar of sorts, who gets to warn everyone about the other type of XJWs who are not on the level like them? As in the wheat and weeds illustration. The sheep and the goats. I'm going to tell you something, you in the audience. You deserve to know something, and I'm going to tell you. This isn't going to be easy for you to hear. I'm going to tell you something. When you click on an XJW's video, and they're telling you about how they have joy and happiness and found peace in their life, now that they found out what's true, you need to know the same exact people were saying the same exact thing on a big stage with a microphone just a few short years ago. Same thing, same words, word for word. I'm one of the most peaceful people in the world now that I have the truth. So if you're wondering why I don't join the if you're wondering why I don't jump on bandwagons or join fan clubs, why would I when I've already heard these speeches 1,000 times? It ain't new stuff to me. Fuck. I got myself kicked out of the JWs for being a goat. So why the fuck would I be acting like a sheep now? You know, the JWs, at least they give you a judicial committee before they put a label on you. What process do any of the angry apostates get? What due process was allowed to them before they got this label applied to them? Did they at least get a friggin' judicial committee? By the way, where is this list of rules of how disfellowship people are supposed to behave and conduct themselves. And who wrote it? You know who wrote it. You already know. And you know where it came from. Let me ask you this. Where did this idea that having face-to-face interactions with JWs at the Kingdom Hall is against the rules and out of the question? Excuse me. JWs. The same people, these delicate flowers at the Kingdom Hall that you just can't bear to see somebody stand up and say something to. Excuse me. They go to their jobs. They go to school every day, and their teacher walks up to them, their classmates walk up to them, people walk up to them and talk to them all day long, right? People walk up to their fucking faces and say any goddamn thing they please, correct? Right? Well then tell me, where did this idea and mythology that ex-JWs are off limits from doing the exact same thing, where did this come from? Did it come from the real world? Is this an idea that's based in reality? Oh no. Oh no. You know where this idea came from. And you should have very real questions about anyone still trying to enforce it. People who leave the Jehovah's Witness religion and Jehovah's Witness lifestyle often find themselves on rough seas, being battered about by purveyors of the disfellowshipping culture. You stay on your side, we stay on ours. And this is post-Jehovah's Witnesses. You want to talk about people reinforcing a stereotype? You got them right here. In case you haven't noticed, there seems to be people in the ex-JW community that have a cottage industry built on disfellowshipping and its perpetuants. And they get pissed off at people denying the existence of this invisible line. People like Tony Prime crossing it with impunity. They're enraged by it. Oh, I am sorry, they're not enraged because they're non-aggressive. They're frustrated for some reason. Here, if you are, perhaps you were offended by this, let me fix it for you. I'm going to just straighten everything out. It's really easy. Tony Prime, propaganda techniques, these guys that pulled this shit. And it offended everyone, and everyone shit their diaper. Well, I'm going to fix it for you magically. I want you to look at them and imagine that instead of being ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, take that X away. Just erase it mentally. Did you do that? Think of this as Brother Balkan. He's about to give a talk at the Kingdom Hall. Poof! Problem solved. Nobody's going insane anymore. Nobody's... Well, isn't that amazing? Nobody has anything to be mad about anymore. I fixed it for you. Magically. Isn't that incredible? Did Tony Prime initially upset you by facing the audience and speaking? You seem to have forgotten that 15 feet behind him there's a little man facing the audience, telling them lies and propaganda. That didn't seem to bother anyone. You say that Tony Prime is reinforcing a narrative. Well, what do you think that little man is reinforcing? Week after week. I don't see any of you spitting out your coffee or having a heart attack. Your grandma's opening her purse and donating all her money. I don't hear any outrage about that. Shit, my grandparents gave their every piece of property they owned, donated tens of thousands of dollars to people that were lying to them. I don't hear any of you bitching about that. I don't see any of you in the audience shedding a tear. Where's the panic, people? Where's the bitching? Oh, it's different because that man behind Tony on the stage has authority to be doing it. Well, what did he do? Donate more money than Tony Prime? Did he kiss more asses? Fudge more hours on his service card? Where did this authority come from? Did he come from Jehovah's official witnesses at headquarters, like Jarrett Loesch, paying $1 million of my donation money so he doesn't have to sit in a courtroom and witness about Jehovah? That doesn't offend you. Jehovah's Witnesses paying donation money not to witness. Meanwhile, you got guys like Tony and Propaganda Techniques standing up in front of the entire congregation, witnessing to them with zeal. And you got a problem with it. Excuse me, did not the prophet Isaiah burst in and make bold public declaration before he was sawn asunder? I didn't hear any of you bitching about that. Did this little stunt offend you, really? Because it didn't offend me. And I'll tell you why. All three of these guys that stood up, Tony, Propaganda Techniques, Kyle, all three of them stood up in a row and said something to the audience that took about 30 seconds, which is less time than the average JW presentation. You know, presentations. As in field service. As in JW's charging into everywhere and anywhere on earth. High and low, far and near. And boldly proclaiming Jehovah's name. As in that. Charging and going into anywhere they damn well feel like it. And the people say, "This is a doctor's office. You can't be here." And they say, "Ha ha ha, didn't expect us, huh?" Well, we go everywhere, spreading the message of Jehovah. Let me tell you something I know about Tony, because he's a good friend of mine, and something I know about him from our many conversations. When he was a little boy, they put magazines in his little hands and shoved him up people's driveways to go talk to them. Now, we're not talking about going to a public place like the Kingdom Hall, where people who are interested in Jehovah are supposedly gathered there to talk about Jehovah and hear about Jehovah. We're not talking about that. We're talking about they made him go over and over again to private residences where he was not invited and tell them about Jehovah. He didn't call in advance. His parents didn't call the houses in advance and ask if it was okay. Let me ask you in the audience, how many times, let's go back to your field service days. How many times did you catch somebody getting out of the shower? How many times did you interrupt a family's dinner? Did it stop you from going to the next door? No. How many times did somebody say to you, "You're a stranger. I don't really appreciate you banging on my door like this. Could you please leave? You're out of line." Did that stop you from going out in service all over again the next Saturday? No? How odd. How many times did you see a no soliciting sign out in service and blow right past it? How many times can you remember walking up somebody's driveway and the people are standing on their porch or they're pushing a lawnmower and they look up and they give you that look like, "Please leave me alone. Don't do this. Don't make this happen." Did you take the hint and turn around and leave? Or did you continue right up the driveway and do what you're supposed to be doing? How many times did you go up a driveway and someone is in their garage underneath the car working on it? Now, did you say, "You know what, let's leave this guy alone"? Or did you invite yourself into his open garage, squat down next to the car and start telling him about, well, what we're doing out here in the ministry. And the poor guy has to get up from underneath his car, wipe the grease off his hands with a rag so that he can take your fucking Watchtower and Awake magazines. How many times did you did that before you start talking about Tony interrupting the memorial here? How many times did you go up to somebody's house and they're having a yard sale, or their kids are having a lemonade stand or some fucking thing, and did you say, oh, let's not crash these people activity because that would just be rude? Did you take the hint and say, let's not do this and leave? Or did you browse around like a potential customer and then start witnessing to the people on the spot in front of everyone there and put them in an awkward position? I'm wondering, how many hours and minutes did you spend preaching to your worldly coworkers while on the clock for your employer? Did it ever occur to you that that was entirely inappropriate and out of line? No? You did it anyway, right? And don't even bother denying any of this. They give demonstrations about it at assemblies, showing you how to doing it, telling stories of people that did it, recounting experiences of people doing it. So you can say, well, just skip the part where you deny this. Shit! They show pictures of people doing it in the magazines. They'll have some fucking JW construction worker hammering a board with one hand and preaching to somebody out of the knowledge book with the other hand. Do you think employers are okay with that? What about building inspectors? You think they'd greenlight that? Give a thumbs up? Safety inspectors. I'm curious how many neighbors and classmates and coworkers of Jehovah's Witnesses would confide to you honestly that they find their spontaneous evangelizing activities to be inappropriate and out of line. How many people in the daily proximity of Jehovah's Witnesses, forced to cohabitate with him, would tell you the honest truth that they feel intruded on? Harassed at times. How many would tell you honestly that JW showing up at their door over and over again, uninvited, feels obnoxious and pushy and headstrong and out of line? We're talking about the same people, by the way, that print a book of how to ignore and overcome conversation stoppers. Conversation stoppers! Are you all choosing not to remember this now? You don't remember the little book they published and gave to every JW on earth and taught them out of and instructed them out of. A book of little mind games you can use when somebody doesn't want to talk to you. And how you can make them continue anyway. You all seem to have a very selective memory. That you don't remember this little book full of suggestions of how when a householder doesn't want to talk with you, you can, through your own willpower and stubbornness, defy their wishes and continue the interaction regardless of their willing consent. Did I make any of this up? Did I leave anything out? Because it's amazing to me how none of you ever mention that or bring it up. And it is remarkable in my mind how many of you have saved your phony indignation and self-righteousness and sudden burst of ethical standards. You saved it all for this moment, now, and directed it at this man. This man right here spent the best years of his childhood knocking on thousands of doors on a mission for Jehovah. Where was all of your outrage then, people? Where was the fucking complaining? I don't remember hearing a peep of it. Shit, he's 40. You had 20 or 30 fucking years to say something, to do something. Not one goddamn peep. And now, all these years later, he's going to return to Jehovah's house and do the same thing. Do a return visit at Jehovah's house. And now you're all going to have a cow. There are millions of children on this earth under compulsion being forced to say things out loud about Jehovah. And none of you have a goddamn thing to say about it. There is no outrage. Where are you people typing up a storm? Where's all your bitching? Why does it start now? Is what I'm wondering. This guy that walked up behind Tony and tapped him on his shoulder and said, no. That same guy is putting magazines, tapping little kids on the shoulder after the meeting, putting magazines in their hand and telling them to talk about Jehovah. Now he's telling this man to shut up? Nah, that didn't work for me. Don't you get it? These are the same people that taught Tony about Jehovah. Did he teach himself Jehovah's name? He stands up and starts talking about generation of 1914. You're acting like it's something he made up and taught to himself, and now he's parroting it. Tony and myself, every friggin' door that we went to by the thousands growing up, went to thousands of doors. Every friggin' back issue of Awake magazine we put in the friggin' door had the creator's promise on page 2 that this system will see its conclusion before the generation of 1914 passes away. Now, Tony Prime went to thousands of doors spreading that lie about Jehovah. Now he's standing in Jehovah's house going to tell the truth about Jehovah, and you're all shitting your pants. Well, I got one last question for you. You're pissed about him being at Memorial. Who taught him to be at Memorial? I want to tell you a little back history here, just some behind the scenes stuff. I hope Tony doesn't mind. During this event that went on, I just call it the event that happened, Tony really ruffled some feathers because he said, God is gay. He is in fact gay. And this, whoa, it's really hit a sour note for a lot of people. I just wanted to, just so you know, if you're wondering what happened, Tony, we were texting and calling and everything before this shit went down, and he was taking suggestions. He solicited suggestions from about half a dozen people and was like, what do you want me to say? And I said, Tony, just before you leave the Kingdom Hall and you're going to walk out the door, could you turn around and say, God is gay? And he was like, oh, yeah, because he got it. Well, I'm not sure that everyone would get it, but nevertheless, that's what I wanted him to say, and he did that little favor for me. It was something important to me. By the way, I have yet to see a biblical refutation for the statement and pronouncement that God is in fact gay. And what? You're religious, right? You have a Bible in front of you. Refute it. God is gay. Was that offensive to you in the audience? Well, it was meant to be. It was interjected. It's something I suggested to Tony. He did it. He was the one that had the guts to actually do it. I was very interested in seeing the reactions of not only the JW audience, but the ex-JW viewing audience and the worldly viewing audience, everyone. I was very curious to see how people would respond, and it was varied. I thought it was notable. A couple of very religious people who are regular viewers and commenters, I was curious as to people. I found it very interesting that they had muted reactions. There's one lady, one very nice lady that is comments on many videos. She's not a Jehovah's Witness. She's just a very religious lady that is very intensely interested in religious situations and the JW experience. And I thought it was noteworthy that she didn't have anything to say about that. There's another gentleman that lives in Canada who's also very religious. I also thought it was very interesting that he actually did a review of the video, and he was doing a play-by-play of the entire situation that broke down, and he said, and here's the part where he says that God is gay, And he said, I don't know why he said that. I guess he just wanted to. That was interesting to me because and as you know, I'm not a person of faith myself, but I found it interesting that these people of faith, whatever their faith is, it's not built on Tony Prime, what he says or does. Their house isn't built on the shifting sand of what other people say or do. I found it very telling to people that felt compelled to jump on there and type and that's what I was wondering. I was like, well, if Tony says that God is gay, how does that affect you? I mean, if God isn't gay, well then he could I don't know, an apparition. He could send an angel and say, by the way, rumor going around I'm gay. I'm totally not. It's a situation that was forced here. I feel some people didn't like it. I feel it was of value. It forced, I don't know, maybe people to consider the objective evidence that God is inactive. God is inert. And if you are a true believer, it also challenged you whether or not Tony's actions or words, I mean, what does it do to you? Anyway, just something that happened. I'm just trying to understand what is the spilt milk here. A lot of people acted like adults. There was people at the Kingdom Hall that acted like adults. Very interesting that some people in the audience there, a lot of people in the audience kept their cool. Some people, they acted up, acted like they were going to charge Tony. There's one guy threw a kid in the chair. Another people, it's a variety of reactions, and I think they were all very telling about the people. My question is, what is this status quo that got disrupted? They had the static 2 minutes that happened where the humdrum status quo, sleepy, usual routine of Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, somebody threw a monkey wrench in it. And I'm trying to understand how the people that are beside themselves with grief and crying, I'm wondering, patting their tears away. I'm wondering what makes these people tick. What do they really think is going on here? It's funny to me. Lying doesn't bother to you. Isn't something that bothers you. Even if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you recognize, well, yes, there's been many things that are said untrue. Well, they don't call it lies. They don't even call it untrue. They just say, well, that's former truth. Even Jehovah's Witnesses will acknowledge that many talks were given that were just completely wrong and false. But they didn't bother you that this untruth or things that are not true are spreading. My question is, the people that are outraged, where was your outrage during the pedophile scandal a few weeks ago, during the Nightline? Because the Nightline thing, it was all over the internet, all the videos, all the people typing. I thought it was very interesting the people that strongly objected to Tony Prime did not take to their keyboards and strongly object to Jonathan Kendrick just as ferociously. Just an observation. I just don't remember seeing any of your screen names. Jesus Christ and Blue Hawk and whoever the frig else you are. I mean, I just think it's very notable that you're all this bottled up. Oh, how could you? It was all saved for all the disrespectful. How disrespectful do you think it was for the elders not to tell the congregation that there was a confirmed pedophile sitting next to their children? That didn't register for you as being an act of disrespect. You had to wait for Tony Prime to come along for that disrespect to really hit home for you. Frig. Before we go, I just wanted to do a quick reminder for you, in case you forgot about this wonderful world of Jehovah and Jehovah's Witnesses, this beautiful bubble world of Jehovah that the JW sympathizers are crying and bitching and whining about. I'd just like to give you a quick rundown and reminder of what it's all about. We have Warrior Prince here. This system that you're being instructed to respect and show respect for. I want to give you a quick taste of it. Warrior Prince, a very ferocious and devout Jehovah's Witness. Well, he's on the Jonathan Kendrick and Candace Conti video here. If you don't know this gentleman, let me refamiliarize him for you real quick. He raped this little girl. Oh, and he's raped other little girls, too. And while he was doing it, he was a Jehovah's Witness in good standing. And guess what? He's still a Jehovah's Witness in good standing. Nothing's changed. Well, Warrior Prince watched this video and said, "Nice try. Using the actions of a worldly wolf in sheep's clothing to try to attack JW just shows how low the wicked get." I bet you didn't know that or realize that this Jehovah's Witness that was going around raping children was actually a worldly person. He's not one of them. He's one of you. The worldly person viewing this. Shit, I bet you didn't even know that there was a you. I bet you were unaware of that, as you don't usually self-identify with everyone else on the planet Earth who's not a Jehovah's Witness. Well, the truth is that all the time that he was a Jehovah's Witness going door to door and also raping little kids, he was secretly a worldly person. And somehow is still a worldly person to this day and also a Jehovah's Witness. But he's a worldly person in sheep's clothing. You see, it's not good enough for Jehovah that he despises you worldly people, your debased lifestyles, defiling conduct. But also, when one of his innocent sheep get caught doing something that you wouldn't even dream of having anything to do with, well, that doesn't count. Because all the time he was a secret worldly people like you. You see how that works? That's why Jehovah's Witnesses are the cleanest people on the earth. Because whenever they get caught doing something, it's disqualified. Why did you make me do the worldly things that you people like for us to do? You see how that works? Do you see why you're supposed to respect the system and just show that reverence and respect for it? By the way, the worldly people that Jehovah hates so much also helped build his kingdom hall. I bet you didn't. If you're a worldly person, I bet you may not have even been aware of that. You see, it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses whose donations are used to build the kingdom hall that the memorial is being held in. They also solicit donations from worldly people. Here's how it works. You go to the door. Millions of Jehovah's Witnesses, they go door to door every day, banging on doors. Well, we do take donations, just so you know. And if you just gave us a few dollars, we'd be on our way and you'd be done with us. A few dollars is not much. How about if you do it 1,000 times or 1,000,000? What kind of money are you talking about now? Enough to build some kingdom halls? Oh, yeah. Yep. A very selective and inconvenient fact that all the commenters here like to forget is that the worldly people also help build those kingdom halls. I'm not done yet. You see, they were taking money from worldly people with one hand, and in the other hand, handing them a Wake magazine, promising that the generation that saw the events of 1914 will not pass away before all these things occur. So you see, they were taking money under false pretenses while lying to you, the worldly person. How does that feel? Knowing that your worldly compatriots not only they were having money taken from them, being lied to, and now they're angry at you sending a worldly secret agent into their kingdom hall to rape children. And all the time it was a worldly people. It was you worldly people doing it. You wolves in sheep clothing. Well, Warrior Prince continues and says, and no evidence that any of these comments are made by JW, I'm afraid. And I said, are you a JW? He's in the video. And he says, yes, the original point stands. And I said, well, by example, your comments are JW, and my audience has laughed at them many times. He's a frequent guest on our show. No evidence that these are real JWs. And he said, they laughed at Noah also. And I say, who the fuck is Noah? Read the Bible. And I say, I thought you were a witness. I'm waiting to hear. And he says, my love for Jehovah is complete. That's creepy. I don't want to hear about your complete lovemaking with Jehovah there. Just as you love this evil world. Oh, I do love this evil world. It's so evil and I'm so into it. Just as you love this evil world, I love God. But not enough to do your job of witnessing for him. Well, Anyway, we gotta go. But I have one final message for all of you JW commenters and sympathizers crying about how the world of Jehovah's Witnesses has been corrupted and infiltrated by people disrespecting it. I just wanted to tell you something real quick. Get your Kleenex ready. Get stocked up on some Kleenex, bitch. All know it. And the Jehovah's Witnesses know it too. It's just, look, any organization, you're going to have people that leave by the shitload. Well, what's the most common course of action there is? The most popular, most common, and most widely accepted is what I call the path of least resistance. And it goes like this. You keep quiet, keep to yourself, keep a low profile, and when you see a person from the Kingdom Hall walking by, drop your eyes to the floor to demonstrate your humbleness and shame. It's called the path of least resistance. And most importantly, here's what you do. You show up at the memorial once a year. You sit there quietly. You don't say a word. This is very important because JWs can point at you then, and after the meeting they can say, see? Even though they aren't fulfilling their obligation to Jehovah, they're still acknowledging that it's the truth. And this is the preferred curriculum of ex-JW and JW alike. Because, although you are on different sides of the figurative electrical fence, you can still maintain a measure of civility and amicability with your JW relatives through this course. Reversely, anyone who doesn't do this will incur the wrath of JW and ex-JW alike. Why? Because you're not doing what you should be doing. You're not doing what you're supposed to. And that's when the stereotyping begins to take shape. You see, you can be somebody with very strong and critical views of the Watchtower Society, but you keep it to yourself. And one now, that none of them were the least bit angry. I talked to them. They were giddy. I would describe them as happy-go-lucky. They were in a very jovial, carefree, and very happy mood. So why would you perpetuate this lie? Oh, because it fits into your predetermined narrative. Oh, no, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses narrative. I'm sorry that you're just proving to them that apostates are angry, but, you know, they didn't. That's a strange thing to me, because they didn't say anything angry. Well, what we have here is what they call the double-bind logical fallacy that JW apologists typically use. If you're an ex-JW, the choices you make, any directions you turn, they have you a stereotype prepared for you. Basically speaking, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Any path you go down, you, the ex-JW, are going to fall into any one of about half a dozen stereotypings, which I'll list a few of you for you guys. Excuse me. If you're somebody that doesn't have faith in the Jehovah's Witness doctrines anymore, and you confide this to your friends and family, well, you get classified as a murmurer. You're stirring up contentions and causing divisions. By the way, if you think I'm exaggerating or you don't believe me, you're welcome to click on the channel JW Struggle. There's a few videos on there I think you'll find very interesting. People that are being persecuted. Oh, the JW persecution. Well, in this instance, you're talking about JWs persecuting people for what they think in their minds and what they have confided privately in private conversations. You know, the same private conversations that JWs don't want to talk to child abuse investigators about. Well, these same types of private conversations, lead to these judicial committees where people are being put on trial for things that they have confided privately to their friends and family. Well, in that instance, you're going to get called a murmurer. Well, what if you decide you're going to take your complaints about the organization to the elders? Well, you're called a rebel, like the sons of Korah, who didn't respect authority. Well, what if you just say, I'm going to leave the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm just going to live a normal life. I'm just going to go live, do whatever I feel like doing, and they can disfellowship me if they want. I don't care. Well, they call you immoral. After you're gone, they say, well, he was a sexual sinner who couldn't control his appetite of the flesh. Gave in to his ravenous desires and never looked back. What if you don't go that course? What if you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses and you go join a mainstream church of Christendom? Well, then they read the scripture about how a dog returns to its vomit. You see, after you leave, they're going to... they have any number of these classifications that you're going to fall into. And so you're binded any which way you go. Shall I go on? Look, there's hundreds or thousands of people, either voluntarily or involuntarily, that are going to leave Jehovah's Witnesses. Kyle!
Reject the Christ, sorry. He said, if you don't eat of my blood, drink of my blood,
Oh, damn!
I agree. The slave is your master. The publishers are in New York. The slaves are here. You're the slaves.
Oh.
You're all the slaves. The publishers are in New York.
Oh, damn.
They're the publishers, not you.
Oh.
You're the slaves.
Oh, this guy's getting up.
1 Timothy chapter 15.
Craig Perry Mason Stevens.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Craig Perry Mason Stevens. Propaganda techniques on YouTube. Find me. I'll set you free.
And 15.
I will set you free.
And notice what it says here.
Have a good night.
It says, I am writing.
Did you see the look on his face? Shit. I just wish they hadn't done that, though. That was really out of line. Shut up, Jehovah Cow. Go make a freaking omelet. I would if you buy me ingredients. And here we have Jesus Christ. And he says, this just proved to them the apostates are just anger. Prove to them. That's an interesting phraseology. Well, it just proved to them that the apostates are just anger. Not good. And I said to Jesus that I told him I talked to Tony, Charles, and Propaganda right before the memorial, and none of them were angry. So why are you saying this lie? I think it's very interesting. We're here in the building of Jehovah's Witnesses, the truth. It's the truth. I know all four of the men who participated in this stunt are good friends of mine. I talked to them, and I know for a fact, and I am testifying for you right now. Hey everyone, we are here on the 2015 memorial video, and some shit's about to go down. I just wanted to review it and just cover the whole thing together, and I hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. Let's watch together. Get your popcorn ready. Somebody's about to set it off. Yeah, that's right. Take those cups of wine. Oh no! Oh no, I recognize that man! Oh, this isn't gonna be good!
No, how about this? How about we make a toast to the generation of 1914 that will not pass away? May they rest in peace. This is for them. Yes.
He taps him on the shoulder.
Overlapping generations. Amen. I'll tell you what. Right back to you. For the overlapping generations. Let's forget about those bad 1914 generations. God is gay.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Born again.
Right.
Jehovah's
Right.
where we serve, and certainly that's what we want
That was
to
very
Sure.
inappropriate.
Sure.
You
Jehovah
shouldn't have done
is
that.
your God.
Get out of here, Jehovah Cow. Everyone hates you.
Right.
You're the most unpopular thing
Right.
that's ever been on this show.
Oh, by the way, I'm anointed, so if you want my autograph, follow me out.
I'm born again. I can't do that. I know what he said was wrong, but I'm born again, and I can't do that.
Oh, it's